Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. I know I talked about smack in the last video, but this video will be all seriousness. No talking smack. We're good there. I got it all out my system, okay? I got it all out. Sorry about the phone. But anyway, here is some more disappointing news. So the consumer sentiment survey that actually comes from the University of Michigan's measure fell by 8 points. It actually went from 58 to 50 even. It fell more than expected, and this puts it at its lowest level since the index started in 1952. This is not good because remember, we're talking about the consumer. And even if we're not exactly in a recession, the fact that the consumer feels like we are, that honestly says a lot, guys. On top of that, long-term inflation expectations rose to 3.3%. That is the highest since 2008. Notice all these different metrics we're getting are always highest level since 2001, highest since 2008, highest since 1982. That should really tell you something about how crazy of a historic time that we are in. We are really in some bad times here, folks. And I just want to make this real clear, too, before we move on to the rest of the video, because I feel like because retail investors are so emotional, unfortunately, some of the people watch my video are getting really emotional, and they have this weird idea that somehow I'm happy that stocks are going lower. And that's just not the truth, right? I try to be up in spirits and I try to be happy and I try to make entertaining videos. But I mean, I'm getting crushed too, like I am getting demolished myself. I just want to make that very clear. My portfolio is getting destroyed. I have lost a lot of my wealth just like everybody else. And it sucks. But, at the end of the day, even if I have to deliver bad news, I would rather deliver truthful and honest news than just being overly optimistic in an environment where that just doesn't serve anybody. Like, I think the hardcore truth is actually the better way to go. It's like, just tell me what it is, and then we can go from there and figure out what to do. So I just want to make that very clear. I am not happy that stocks are going down. I do not want stocks to go down. I am not happy that I was right about stocks going down. I just want to make that very clear. It actually really sucks, but it is what it is. Now, let me go on to some more bad news. So Deutsche Bank actually came out. It's actually two banks, Barclays and then Deutsche Bank actually came out with this note right here. They said, we now expect the Fed to hike by 50 basis points at the September and November meetings before downshifting to a pace of 25 basis point hikes at the December meeting. We now see the Fed funds rate ending this year at 3.125% and peaking at 4.125% by the middle of 2023. That is a note by Deutsche Bank. Barclays came out and said that they expect basically the Fed to hike rates by 75 basis points at the next FOMC meeting. Remember, that is next week. Now, what am I going to do? Right before we get into some more things that I saw, what am I personally going to do? Well, as tempting as it is to buy some stocks, and trust me, I looked at some things like, man, it looks really tempting. I want to wait and see what the Fed does. I really do, because I really feel like the Fed might screw this up again. I'm really hoping and praying that the Fed just goes Paul Volcker and just 100 basis points or at least 75. That's really what we need, because inflation is just running too hot. And in my opinion, their efforts are not working. It's not doing enough. They've got to get way more aggressive. And so I really want to see what the Fed is doing before I decide that I want to buy any more stocks. In other news, though, the VIX closed above 28 for the first time since May 25th, 2022, which is crazy because the VIX essentially went 10 days straight of literally just going straight down, which is pretty incredible. And that was the time when the stock market was rallying, and I continue to be bearish, but you still have people in my comments like, you're an idiot, the stocks are rallying, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Because unfortunately, we have a lot of people who think short-minded, but you got to remember, you cannot think like a typical retail investor. You got to look into the future. You cannot look into what the market is doing in the next few weeks, because as we saw, clearly what we just saw was a bear market rally. And I do expect us to make that next leg down, which is why you have to make sure that when you're investing, you truly do exercise patience, and you got to try as hard as you can, as best as you can, to separate your emotions from your money. You got to do that. If you're too emotional with your money, you're going to lose it every single time. And that's why I try to be as non-emotional as I can be when it comes to investing. Now, here's what I honestly think should happen. Well, actually, let me say this. We closed at the lows of the day when the stock market closed, and that's not good. The S&P 500 for the lows of the day was at 3,900, and it actually closed at exactly 3,900. That is not good. I do suspect we are going to go to 3,800, and I do suspect that we are going to go lower. I think what I want to see before I even think about buying stocks is I just need to see a definitive direction of the market, and I think we may get at least a little bit of that after the FOMC from the Fed. I really want to hear what the Fed has to say. I really want to see this FOMC. And if you want my honest opinion, I think this FOMC meeting that we're going to see is probably going to be one of the most watched ever, given the fact that you had all these crazy people on CNBC saying inflation is peak, things are going to get better, blah, blah, blah. And inflation ended up being higher than it was last month, which is crazy because you guys know that was May's inflation, and actually think that the inflation that comes out next month is going to be higher than the inflation that came out this month, right? That's what I honestly think. So where do we go from here? What the $1 million question? When do I plan to buy stocks? So honestly, actually, if you're buying the S&P 500, now is not a bad time to buy, actually. Like if you're just buying the S&P though, like if you're literally just buying the S&P 500, it's really not a bad time to dollar cost average at this $3,800, $3,900 level. Now, keep in mind, stocks are probably going to fall lower. And in my opinion, if you want my gut opinion, I think that stocks are going to continue to fall lower. But remember, dollar cost average. So we got to remember the rules. I think it's very important. What are the rules of investing? Dollar cost average means every week you're putting a tiny bit of money into the S&P 500. That's dollar cost averaging. So that's one of the rules. What's the other rule? You never put all of your money in at once. Too many retail investors make that mistake. So when I say I think now is actually not a terrible time to buy the S&P 500, that does not mean YOLO all your money. That does not mean put all the money you have into the market. It just means I think dollar cost averaging slowly, putting a tiny bit of money in there every week is not a bad idea at this level. Now, it could very well go lower, and it probably will. Now, in terms of individual stocks, there are some stocks that I am really plotting on. I'm really licking my chops at. I'm like, ooh, it looks good. But you got to exercise patience. You got to. And a lot of these individual stocks are a lot more risky than just buying the S&P 500. So I have no problem buying the S&P 500 here because the S&P 500 is a lot less risky. And remember, my goal this year is capital preservation. That's literally my goal this year. My goal is to not lose money. I think this is a bad year. I think this is going to be a bad year. And I have set my sights on the fact that I am very more than likely not going to make any money this year. And that's fine. I just want to preserve my capital. I just want to get through the year without my portfolio being down 64% like Kathy Woods is. You know? So that's just where I'm at with it. But yeah, if you just absolutely got to buy something, I really think the S&P 500 makes sense. Maybe like a VOO or something like that. Individual stocks, I'm still waiting. I still think the market has so much further to fall. Obviously, you can't time the market. We're never going to time the bottom. I'm not saying we are, but I just need more clarity. I need more certainty personally, and that's what I'm waiting for. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, for those who want to know what my thoughts are, trust me, I will continue to give my thoughts on what I'm doing. And trust me, when I finally start buying individual stocks, you will be the first to know. And no, you won't be the first to know because you're tuning into my Patreon, my $20 Patreon, or my $10 Discord group, or my private chat. No. We don't do any of that dumb, foolish grifting stuff here. I just want to make that very clear. We never do that. If you want to know how I'm feeling or what my thoughts are on anything or bounce ideas, guess what? You can reach me for free by either messaging me on Instagram, messaging me on Twitter, or you could just email me at echoesfromabove1@gmail.com, or you could just wait until I put a music video on. Until I put a YouTube video out on there. And I say all that to say that is really my way of thanking you guys. You know, my main goal is to grow this channel. I do not want to grift you guys. This isn't a get rich quick scheme for me. This is really just me doing something that I really enjoy doing, which is making YouTube videos and talking about finance. So that's all. Just wanted to say to everybody who's been supporting me, to everybody who left all the wonderful, nice comments on my YouTube today and were DMing me nice stuff on Instagram and all that. I really appreciate you. Can't thank you enough. You guys made me really happy today on this very unfortunate day where I probably lost a lot of money on stocks today. I didn't look at my portfolio today because why would I? But I'm sure it's, you know, absolutely gotten destroyed today, at least, because the stocks were so down. But anyway, just wanted to make that very clear. So if anybody wants to reach me or have anything like that, want to know how I'm feeling, just send me a message. Like I said, you'll never see me do a Patreon or a paid chat or anything like that. I'll never do that. It's just not my thing. You know, it's just not my thing. But I know a lot of YouTubers like to do it, but I think it's stupid. But anyway, there you guys have it. Thanks so much for the support as always. That'll go ahead and conclude today's video. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.